You know what you did? Well, you said this, and I think that was stupid.
I said this, but you did that last week. What you mean?
What do you mean I did that last week?
Yes, you did it last week. You just
so you
did
talking
that.
about stuff from last week?
Yes, I'm talking about stuff. You brought it up.
So?
Yeah, you.
Well, we supposed to be talking about it, aren't we?
You brought it up. I'm bringing it up now from last.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Nadia.
And it's me, Coach T.
And we are two average people.
Yes, we are.
We are going to talk to you today about something that is very, very important in relationship. Really relationship with anybody, but especially with your spouse, and that is respect.
Yeah.
Right? I think oftentimes, we overlook especially when you get comfortable with someone, it's easy to have those little moments of disrespect, right, babe? Not on purpose, but I think you get comfortable. And so, it's like when you go on a job interview, you do your best to be presentable and professional and respectful, but as you work with somebody maybe for 10, 12, 15 years, things may sound and look a little different. And so, babe, what do you think respect looks like for a relationship? And I know that's a really broad question because as you interact, I feel like there's little moments where, somebody may say something that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And the other person may not know what's disrespectful. So what does respect look like in a relationship?
To me, respect looks like the mutual, let me make sure I say this properly. The mutual taking of consideration of the things we like, don't like, and are triggered by.
I love that. That is a beautiful definition.
That's a holistic definition that I can consider. It allows us to figure out what it is we like, don't like, and are triggered by, and allows me to be respectful of those things for you, and you to be respectful of those things for me, or I'll say observant of those things.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that I won't do the things that you find disrespectful, but it does mean that I'll keep it in mind and keep myself aware of it.
Yeah, I really love that. I think also just appreciating that, you are a human being with opinions and feelings. And that may not look like mine. And, I'll talk about that more a little later, but I often find that this is one of those areas that it can kind of creep into your relationship if you're not careful.
Oh my gosh.
So like you may say something to me like that was disrespectful, right? And I may just walk away, like just trying not to causing it to escalate. I may just walk away, and he may not be thinking, oh, well, I said something disrespectful, so that worked. She didn't have nothing to say about it, so I'm just going to be disrespectful next time. He may not say that necessarily, but he also may not take the time to actually try to correct the behavior. And so it's very important that even though I walk away, that I come back later and say, hey, I feel this way when you said this. I felt disrespected. I felt this way, so I make it aware. Okay, if y'all didn't know, I love my husband, but he's very sarcastic at times.
I don't mean to be.
He doesn't mean to be.
I just say the truth kind of bluntly.
He says he's very bluntly.
Kind of clumsily.
Very blunt when he wants to be. And so, I have to make sure that I say, hey, that I felt disrespected. Not that he ever intends or outwardly disrespects me, but definitely I felt disrespected. I felt unheard. I felt all of these things when you said that. And that hopefully gets the person saying, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
that's not going to work.
Yeah, I didn't mean that. Let me back up the truck.
Right.
I apologize at first. That wasn't what I intended. What I intended was this, which the question I have for you is, because this is a hard part. As I was talking just now, it hit me. At what point is it respectfully honest and just disrespectful? Like, the truth hurts sometimes. So what makes something respectfully truthful versus just straight disrespectful? For you?
That is a loaded question, baby, but a good one. I think it all comes down first to how much trust you have in the person.
Ooh,
because I trust him immensely, right? And so even if he's saying something to me that I may consider difficult to hear, I don't ever think he's trying to hurt my feelings because that trust is there. Right? But somebody else may look at it and say, okay, you said that? That was totally disrespectful.
Yeah.
My friends have told me stories and I'm like, he said that to you? Like that was totally disrespectful. So to answer your question, I think it all boils down to the trust you have in the person, the place they are in your life. Hopefully in your relationship, that person is, at the forefront of your life, and so you can value a lot of what they say, so it's different if he tells me something versus my coworker that I met a month ago, right? And so that plays a role into the respect game, and it's kind of weird because if I use that same example, I might take more disrespect from the person I met a month ago than I would from him.
Even though
that's so weird, right? Because you're like, well, you expect him to respect me more. Yes, because I know him and I trust him, and he knows me. This person doesn't know me. And so they say something to me, I'll be like, that was a little disrespectful, but I might not see it that way, but he may say something to me that I may see extremely disrespectful because we have a relationship. There's trust there. And so, you naturally, there's a higher expectation.
Do you think that because of that thought process, that trust with someone, like the more you know and trust someone, the more vulnerable you have to be to them?
Yes. Hopefully, the more you trust someone, the more vulnerable you can be. Now, you don't always, because vulnerability, again, is not just that one side of, oh, I trust you so I can be vulnerable.
Yeah, it's not.
Because if I have a past of people walking out on me or people mistreating me, even though I trust him, that part of me is still very vulnerable and therefore doesn't allow me to be vulnerable with him.
Oh,
does that answer your question?
That's deep.
So
that's deep.
It's one of those things that I think, but it's a really good question. Yeah. But I have a question for you.
All right, let's go.
Do you think respect is something that needs to be demanded, or is it only necessary when respect is lacking? So you know how people always say, you have to demand respect. Mm-hmm. Is that across the board, do you think? I was struggling with this question. I wrote it down because I was really struggling with the answer to this question.
In my opinion, which is very colored because of how I was raised and what and who I am, but I think you teach people how to treat you. Always.
Across the board.
No
matter who they
are. No matter who they are. From my boss to my child, I teach people how to treat me. And to me as a man, it is extremely important that my respect level is maintained. Now, I can justify that. It's not because I'm a man that you will respect me. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, as a man, I take those things of a man, especially to the community that I'm around, meaning adding value to the community that I'm in, being a provider, being a protector, being a prophet, understanding how to take the family to the next level. I take those jobs very, very, very seriously. I joke all the time, but I don't joke about those things. I take it very seriously.
Yeah.
So, for me, because I take it that seriously, and because I understand that men who do that are rare, I refuse to be respected under a certain threshold. That's kind of the end-all be-all there. Now, I have to teach people how to do that with me because there's some things that I don't tolerate.
Right.
There's some things I just don't tolerate from anyone. And then there's some things that I won't tolerate because I've taken on a responsibility for ensuring some point of happiness for you as a person in my circle. Does that make sense?
That makes sense 100%.
There's certain things that for my daughter I will not tolerate at all. It doesn't mean that I become abusive.
Right.
But it does mean that I say, hey, no,
Right.
it's not going down. Not going down. But I have to teach her that so that she can reflect it back to me. If not, then I tend to look at myself and say, well, what am I doing wrong that this person feels it's quite comfy to be disrespectful?
Right. I think that's interesting, babe, about the teaching someone how to respect you. And I think that is really important in the lives of for people who have been in your life for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Like your parents, for example, right?
Yeah.
So, our parents, we're their children. So in some ways, I feel like they still see us and will always see us as their children. It's hard to really look at us as adults. And so, in our culture, when we grew up in Caribbean culture, you don't talk back to your parents. You say anything in that light to your parents, else you're disrespectful. And
disrespectful usually leads to,
the disrespectful is like, well, you're not, how could you talk to me this way? Blah, it's a whole lot of course, they're not going to spank us as adults, but,
Mine would. Please don't listen to her. My mom, sorry, Mom.
You would not
I'm so sorry,
let
Mom.
your parents spank you. Get out of here.
That's true, but I'm going to hit my mom back, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I just got smacked. I just got smacked is what happened.
But I think those people that have been in your life that saw you at different phases in your life, you really have to teach them how to respect you. Because it's like, I was a child then, but I'm an adult now and I have an opinion and I have feelings and I do demand respect.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that we want you to keep in mind when it comes to respecting your spouse. And the first thing is be mindful of how you communicate.
What do you mean by be mindful?
So
let's dive into that.
It's very, like, communication, people talk about it all the time. It's so important, but we have to remember that it's more than just talking.
Yeah. True.
Right?
True.
So when we're having a conversation, I have to remember that, one, it is about what I'm saying, but it's also about my body language. So if he's talking to me and I'm like,
and I'm pouring my heart out, and I'm like, well, baby, what you have to understand is,
I can't come back later. I can't come back later and be like, well, I was cold, so I have my arms. You have to be mindful of your body language, of what you're saying, and most importantly, listening. That is the most hands down important part to communication is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Right, babe?
Or like I like to say, shutting the hell up. Don't say anything. 2 ears, 1 mouth.
One of the things that you might have heard other people say, or we've talked about, is that we have tried. I should say, I'm sorry, is having something in your hand.
Oh,
so like a pencil. So the person, you could do it either way. It could be the person that has the pencil doesn't talk, or the person with the pencil is talking. The other person does the opposite. I find it's easier if you have the pencil not to talk. So okay, why am I holding this pencil? Okay, I can't say anything.
Right.
But more than focusing on actually holding the pencil, your goal is to listen to active listening. And sometimes when we're talking, we stop and say, what I heard you say was this. Mm-hmm. When you're communicating difficult things, especially, you want to try to use I statements. I feel disrespected because of this. I feel like you didn't hear me because of this. As opposed to, you know what you did? Well, you said this, and I think that was stupid.
I said this, but you did that last week. What you mean?
What do you mean I did that last week?
Yes, you did it last week. You
talking about stuff from last week?
Yes, I'm talking about stuff. You brought it up.
So?
Yeah,
we supposed to be talking about it, aren't we?
You brought it up. I'm bringing it up now from last.
That you'd get nowhere.
0 places.
Okay,
you go nowhere.
I statements, trying to acknowledge what the other person is saying, and even if you are and this happens to us a lot, we're not in a mindset to talk about it. So it's okay to say, you know what? I need some time to get through my emotions and my thoughts. Can we revisit this at another time? And it may not sound so pleasant because you're upset, but it's okay to say, hey, look, I need a minute.
Or even just, I literally need 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Before I continue with my thought.
Right.
I know sometimes, I might be, we're having a hard conversation. I might feel that well up in my chest, like I'm about to rah. Then I got to go, wait, hold on. Let me just, give me 60 seconds. Let me just bring it all the way back down. Yeah.
Yep. So I think it's really, really important to keep that part of the communication in mind. The second thing that I want to mention when it comes to respect is appreciating your differences.
Oh, that's a good one.
And the reason why I love that, why I came up with that, is because if you don't know, Tabari and I are very different in our personality. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, we like a lot of the same things. We watch the same movies. There's different things. But as far as our personality, we're actually pretty different.
Right, pretty different.
Pretty opposite. Yeah. I'm more of the extrovert. He's more an introvert.
Very much so.
I am more feelings. He's not. So it's very... We've had to really stop and appreciate our differences because you can... I think you learn, your partner can help you see things in a different perspective.
Right.
Right? What do you think, babe?
Yeah, I feel like at the time when you realize that respecting the opposite, especially in the person that you're committed to, it gives you like a superpower to be able to move through the world that much easier.
Right.
For example, I'm very overview. I like thinking of the big picture. I like to be able to take our family from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. Point B could be 5 years away, but I like the thought process of taking us in phases to that point. And quite frankly, been pretty decent at it. However, you're not going to get from anywhere point A, B, C, D, E, or F if you can't hit the milestones in between. If you can't get granular, you're not going to get to the next phase.
Right.
So I can be disrespectful to the fact that Nadi's a lot more detailed than I am.
Right.
Or I can respect it and help facilitate it, and in that way, help facilitate my own goals of getting the family from point A actually to point B.
Right. That was a great example. Mm-hmm. As you're doing that, to try not to criticize the other person.
Yeah.
Right? So understand that you may not, if you do something, it can erase something else.
Ooh,
right?
Okay.
So you could criticize, you can say, oh, but I tell him every time that I appreciate him all day, I tell him that. But then you also tell him how you call him stupid, or what are you, dumb, you don't know anything, or, that is going to erase all the other stuff you did that you feel was appreciative. You got to remember to appreciate each other's differences, try not to criticize, and you'll be surprised this perspective
it's
you
true.
can gain.
And not only that, but as now that we've been together for a long time, since we were literally kids to we're literally adults, and now that we have a child of our own, I can look at our child and see myself in my child, and I can see how her overview thought process sometimes gets her into trouble.
Absolutely.
And it makes me go, okay, so when Nadi was telling me back in the day that you really need to be doing ABC 1, 2, 3, or you need to consider it like this, honestly, I'm kind of glad I listened now, because now I'm looking at my daughter going, don't worry, we got you, baby. I promise you're going to be strizzle. I promise. But we're going to have to get you there, because that thought process right there will get you in trouble. Every time. Okay,
our next tip for being respectful and remembering respect is being accountable. Remember that, to be accountable in your relationship. So if that means that, hey, I'm going to plan a date night every other week, hold on to that. Because in being accountable and being a man / or woman of your word, your partner will gain respect for you.
True.
But now we understand things happen. Sometimes plans just don't work out the way that they are supposed to, and that's fine. But I think if your partner can really see you making a true effort,
I think that's important
to try to hold on to the things that you promised or you've talked about, even if it's, hey babe, I'm going to check in with you tomorrow because I know the last couple of days at work have been really stressful. make that time to check in, because those little things, especially if respect is strained in your relationship, will make a difference.
It makes a huge difference. And not only that, but just kind of on a general level. The other day I said, hey, babe, let's go out dancing. This literally happened. We were walking. And I said, hey, let's go out dancing. And she kind of gave me this look like, really?
Dancing?
And now, mind you, I could care less about dancing. But it's not about me caring less about dancing. What I wanted to do was just show her, look, it's not just about all the things that I want to do. I want to make sure that you are happy and satisfied in the situation as well. And I know pre-pandemic, she loved to dance.
Yeah.
She loves to dance.
That would have been exciting.
Yes, I'm sure. And, with the pandemic and everything, she's like, I don't think that's such a good idea and everything. But she was like, why would you say to go dancing, though? And I was like, because I want you to see me try to make an effort. I don't care necessarily for dancing all that much, but I want to do it because I know you would want to do it.
Yeah.
And I want you to see me making an effort in that direction because I think it's important for you to see it. Not just love me so you know it, but to be able to say, remember that time? Yeah, that was the time when he was trying.
And see, in that small example, he just showed you how he was being accountable and how he appreciated my difference. Because he can care less about dancing, but he's planning something that I would enjoy just because I like it.
Just because.
Just in that example. And so that's a small example of how you can actually be supportive and be accountable.
I love it.
And last but not least, guys, just spend some time with yourself. Encourage personal time.
Yes.
It's in spending time with yourself that you learn yourself. Respect yourself first.
Yes.
Because then you can know, okay, what are my triggers? What are the things how do I see respect? One of the things that I always say, I hate when people answer me what. I think it's so disrespectful. I don't know what it is. But I have friends who, their husbands and them answer each other what all the time. They'll call their names and be like, what?
I think it's a Caribbean
thing.
Like, hey, babe, what?
What? Please don't answer me what. But that's just my thing. That doesn't mean that is what would be disrespectful for you. So you have to spend time with yourself so you can learn what your triggers are. And then you can communicate that effectively.
I agree. And I think that's something that's very important. Being able to say, this is a trigger, this. So you can be very clear and definitive about it. Not that you have to be aggressive, but the point is, once you're clear about it, I can be clear about it.
Yeah.
And then if something happens, we can say, well, we were both clear about it, so what was the disconnect?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a fault thing. FYI, I'm not a proponent of who's fault, who's wrong. Nah.
It gets you nowhere.
It gets you nowhere. At some point, she's going to be very wrong. And at some point, I'm going to be very wrong. I would rather grace and mercy at those times when I know I'm going to be wrong. So I'd rather extend grace and mercy if I perceive it in the opposite direction. That's how I like to carry it.
Absolutely.
And if we're both solution-oriented and emotionally intelligent, we should be fine.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it.
love that, baby. Remember, men need respect first.
Mm-hmm.
Women, we like love first. But both of them are important.
They have to come together.
They have to come together. So remember that. Respect and love, they come together. Yeah, all right, guys? We're going to wrap it up here. Remember, follow us.
Yes.
Click that like button.
Make sure you click that like button, hit that subscribe button, and somewhere down in this vicinity, make sure you follow us everywhere. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok in particular. And know that we're going to have some products coming out pretty soon. Our book is almost finished. The 10 Commandments. Yay! The 10 Commandments to a Great Relationship is coming out very soon.
All right, guys. We will see you next time. Remember, we're better together.